First, I'd like to ask that if anyone has a cell phone, please make sure to turn it off before we begin. As according to custom, we begin with reciting a chapter of Tehillim, of Psalms. Most of you should have one of these books, and you have it side by side, Hebrew with English. We'll recite chapter 90, Perek Tzadik, on page 196 for the Hebrew, 197 side by side for the English. And you could say it with me. I'll say it loud. You could say it with whichever language is easier for you. This is a chapter of Tehillim that was composed by Moshe Rabbeinu, by Moses himself, and it's a very important part of the Tehillim. Tefillah l'Moshe ish Elohim Adonai moin ato yisolanu v'der v'der v'terem harim yiladu b'atechelel eretz v'sevel me'elam adelam ato el toshev enosh adako b'atayim mershuvu v'nei adam ki elev shanim beinecha ki mesmel kiyave mashmurav haloyla Yiyu babeke kachatze yachlev babeke yatzitz v'cholov le'erev yimel v'yavesh ki chalinu v'apercho v'chamos v'nifalnu shat avenisenu l'negdecho alu meinu l'mer panecho ki chol yameinu panav evrasecho kilinu shanenu k'mehega yimeish neisenu v'hem shivim shana v'im bigvurish menim shana Rabban Abban Vaven Kibas Tishpanufa Mi idea is a percho Chiros Abrasacho Omnes Yamenu Ken Heida Venovil Vavchachmo Shuv Adonai Ad Mosai Vinochem Alavadecho Sabenu Vaveke Chastecho Oniranu Novenismucho Bechol Yamenu Samchenu Kimesin Isonu Shnesinu Ra Yiro Alavadechalecho Adon Chavnehem Matni Aleinu Aleinu, Umasi Adenu Kenan Aleinu, Umasi Adenu Kenanehu. It's always very difficult to part with a person. And the end of life is a very difficult thing, especially when somebody, especially for family and close friends. And in everything in Jewish life, we always look to the Torah for our guidance, giving us direction and purpose. It's so when a child is born, the father gets called up to the Torah. When you have bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah, and you have a wedding. And when it comes to passing away, again, it's associated with the Torah. So I'm going to share with you some thoughts, and hopefully this will leave us with something that we could go on. We have to remember that a soul is eternal, that though the body is there during our short period on earth, and it houses the soul, and later it disintegrates, but the neshama, the soul, lives on. It's not something that is subject to temperature, to physical elements, and it's not something that disappears. It goes on and lives on, and that connection is something that will stay. In the days that we are right now on the Jewish calendar, we are just between two major fast days. One is to remember the beginning of the destruction of Jerusalem and the exile of Jews through almost the last 2 millennia. This was when the walls surrounding Jerusalem were breached by the Romans. And then they fought through the streets for 3 weeks. And on the last of these 3 weeks, the temple was destroyed and burnt out. And we fast on both of these 2 days, the beginning and the end. The sages tell us that when there's a loss of life, to us, to the Jewish people, it's like the burning down of the temple. So there's many, many important things to remember about this, that on one hand, we talk about one human being. On the other hand, we speak of it as being a national tragedy, because in fact, we are all one big mishpacha. All Jews are like one big family, and that's how we've endured, by sticking together throughout the ages. And it's not just that we are together today, but every Jew is a part of a long chain, a golden chain, dor after dor, generation after generation, that link us all together and make us as one. And we all stood together on the first of these 3 weeks, the first day. It also was a date that way before the Romans broke down the walls around Jerusalem, there was another tragedy. That was when Moses came down from Mount Sinai and saw the Jews had made the golden calf, and he smashed the luchos, the 2 tablets, the 10 commandments. And I wanted to speak about this because there's a very interesting thing. On one hand, our sages tell us that all Jews at that time surrounded the mountain and heard God speak, and every soul of every Jew that was to be born in all future generations were all there at the time, and all directly heard the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments had 2 tablets. One tablet speaks of the mitzvahs, about those precepts that guide our relationship to God, the human being and God. Belief in God, not worshiping idols, not giving an oath in God's name false, etc. And then the next 5 on the other set of on the other one of the 2 tablets speaks about mitzvahs between one person and another, not to murder, not to steal, etc. But there's the last of the first 5 that's a bridge between the 2. And what it is, the 5th of these 10 commandments is honor your father and mother, honor your parents. And this is very interesting. It was, despite the fact that it's something that has to do with your relationship with fellow human beings, your own parents, but it's put on the first of the 2 tablets that speaks about your relationship to God. Because without that respect, there is no link between the generations. There's no continuity to Jewish tradition, to Yiddishkeit. And without a sense of gratitude to those who brought us into the world, there is no way that we'll reach the ability to recognize why we have gratitude to God himself who brought us into the world. So the 2 are put on the same level. Very interesting thing. And when we speak about Hannah, this was, we'll hear more from it from Alan and from Shira a little bit later, but she excelled in the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Em.
I don't know what's this.
Of Kibbud Av V'Em, of respect for her parents. And this is an essential mitzvah, a beautiful mitzvah, and the way that she performed it was exemplary, it was unbelievable. So when we think about this, it brings to mind that despite the fact that loss is going to be mourned, sadly missed, she'll be sadly missed by her family and by all those who knew her and of the family. Nevertheless, there is something that of eternity in her soul, and she expressed this in the way she treated her parents. And that brings together dor after dor, generation after generation. And the neshama will endure and continue. And I wanted to pause just for a few minutes because, as again, a very famous saying of our sages is that dvarim hayotziim min halev, words that come from the heart, nichnasim el halev, penetrate another person's heart. So,
Hello?
yes,
Let me listen to your audio. My audio is terrible.
best would be if you would hear some words from Alan and Shira, who will be able to speak really from the heart and share their memories about Hannah.
I would like to begin by thanking all of you for attending. This is very meaningful for the family. I was blessed to have Hannah, as we called her, Honey, as my sister. The death of a sibling brings forward a multitude of emotions. If you look around, we define ourselves as part of a family unit. Hannah and I were blessed to be brought up by wonderful and caring and loving parents and surrounded by wonderful, loving relatives. It was a blessing having our family and all the relatives. Hannah and I shared fun times together. Growing up, we worked together in the family business. Our life experiences became so interconnected. You think back to family and you think back to your sister. When you look at your nuclear family, you grow up with your parents and you have your siblings with you. She was always there for me in good times and in bad times. When we would look at each other, there would be an unspoken language. We understood each other in the most powerful language you can have, which is non-verbal. We understood, we knew each other, and we loved each other. We had that wonderful family bond. As a result, the death of Hannah, Honey, remains a raw wound. We look back to take comfort in looking at our memories. Also, at a funeral, we look back and to see what an individual has accomplished in life. In that regard, there's a tremendous amount to say about Honey. And again, the rabbi touched upon it, and I'll just expand on it very briefly. For those who knew Hannah, you knew at times she could be very determined, opinionated. However, it was those attributes that permitted her to do something incredible in life. When our parents became elderly, she rose to the occasion to ensure that our parents would be cared for in a loving family setting, guaranteeing honor and respect. She made that her life mission, and she excelled beyond belief. In life, you learn there are those people that talk the talk and others that walk the walk. She walked that line of love for her parents and contributing in this way, showing a wonderful example for all of us to follow. In many ways, as the rabbi said, one of the commandments, the fifth commandment, which is one of the most important commandments, as they all are important, directs us to honor thy father and thy mother. Hannah became the living embodiment of those wonderful and noble goals in life. We talk about the concept of tikkun olam, which is effectively making the world a better place. She became the personification of those principles. It's something that has so much meaning, certainly to me and to the whole family and to the friends. Hannah was an individual who was politically aware, intelligent, sophisticated, and was always concerned for the disadvantaged. She remained a proud North Ender. You talk to her about a cold day, she would say, well, how about the homeless? We have to think about them and what can be done for them. Those were her basic principles. The theme about Hannah is family. Honey was never more fulfilled than when the birth came of her two nephews, Lawrence and Rafi, and her niece, Shira. She looked at them as her own and took pride in everything that they did. She also welcomed the spouses, Lee and David, into the family as a wonderful addition. She was even happier at the birth of the next generation. Reuben Israel, who was named after our father, Izzy, and Louis Paul. She was delighted to see the next generation arise up. In terms of the theme of family, I wish to mention Augie Brass, present here, a close friend to the family. While not a blood brother, he became one to us. Hannah's illness came on very quickly. She was living on her own. Augie was always there for her. For the last few weeks, Augie visited Honey and would look in her, honor her. Given his love and kindness, we were blessed by having another brother, and we'll all be grateful to Augie for your kindness. The other day, we talked about closeness between brother and sister. The other day, Augie came over with his sister Shauna and his niece and nephew, Frankie and Johnny. Seeing those two kids together in a loving relationship, giggling, communicating, and loving each other was inspirational to know what type of good there is in life. They reminded me of the spirit that Hannah and Honey and I have. It was an unbelievably touching moment, and it just happened 2 days ago. I would also like to thank a few other people. In the last while, we've been welcomed into the new clan. Gary and all the family, thank you. We feel honored. As well, we thank all the friends and family for being here as well, the Ashkenazi and the Talmud Torah congregations for welcoming us. Percy, thanks for everything. Everybody here will have memories of Hannah and have their own memories of Hannah. In life, we often say we have blessings. We have wounds today with the loss of Hannah. However, we often say, may the memory be for a blessing. Honey's memory will remain for a blessing to all of us. Thank you. Sure.
On behalf of Lawrence, Rafi, and I, we thank you for being here to honor a special woman, but more importantly to us, our beloved aunt. Rafi unfortunately tested positive for COVID on Thursday and was prohibited from flying, so he is here virtually today. Everyone here has been touched by Auntie Hannah, and that is no surprise. She had that impact on others. Though she loved deeply and held close to her heart. I always had a special relationship with Auntie Hannah. When I was young, I would speak with Baba, Zeta, and Auntie Hannah on the phone. I remember we would schmooze and schmooze for so long to the point where my dad had to practically pull the phone away from me when it got too late. In later years, she became my walking buddy. On many of the walks, I would call her and she kept me company. In the winter, she and I would chat for so long during those walks that my toes got numb from the cold. But it was all worth it. It meant I was speaking with Auntie Hannah. Lawrence, Rafi, and I looked forward to our trips to Winnipeg, and it goes without saying that a major part of that was spending time with Auntie Hannah. She was my dinner date. We attended a number of festivals together, including Jazz Fest, Fringe Fest, and Folklorama, and we enjoyed going to places like museums, musicals, and the zoo together. Rafi was lucky enough to accompany Auntie Hannah to a few Winnipeg Jets games during his winter visits to the city, and those were memories they both cherished. Lawrence enjoyed going to many movies with Auntie Hannah, on long drives, and visiting Auntie Esther. She always pointed out interesting anecdotes about the places they saw. They spoke on the phone about 2 or 3 times a week, especially during COVID, strengthening their bond and bringing the distance closer despite being in Ottawa and Auntie Hannah in Winnipeg. She had such an appreciation for the Winnipeg arts and cultural scene, and of course, all things Winnipeg. Throughout this time, we all created such a special bond with Auntie Hannah and so many memories. As I was walking through Winnipeg on Friday, I went past neighborhoods and parks that we used to frequent. I pointed out all the restaurants she and I ate at together, the shows we attended at each of the theaters or live music venues, the walks or the drives we used to take. I wanted to tell her about the new bistro I found to try. It is surreal that we will never have another dinner date with her or another phone call. I'm going to miss those moments so much, and I can't believe she's gone. Auntie Hannah wanted the best for those around her. From the waiter she met at the restaurant to the family or the friends dear to her, she made it clear that she wanted us to have every success in our academic, personal, and professional pursuits. Auntie Hannah became invested in the goals of others, viewing our successes as her own. Auntie Hannah would ask Lawrence and Rafi and I about our studies because she truly cared and believed in us. She listened, and I mean really listened, when we talked about our hobbies, our day-to-day activities, and made a point to follow up with us on what we discussed during our prior phone calls. She would speak with Lawrence about the news and current events, and he always appreciated her astute insights and observations. She and Rafi bonded over their shared love of Winnipeg sports teams, something they both picked up from our Bubba and Zeta. She recently took such a beautiful interest in Rafi's children, her great nephews, Ruben and Lewis. We know that they will be regaled with stories about their great aunt throughout their lives. She would ask me about my work and my cases. She took a genuine interest in the files, and I must say that I had some amazing breakthroughs when talking to her. She became invested in the issues and the stories of the people involved and the welfare of my clients. I was always proud to share my successes with her and felt that I had a confidant when speaking with Auntie Hannah. Auntie Hannah would repeat the line that Baba used, "I wish you everything you wish for yourself, but double." She meant it. She just wanted to see her loved ones thrive. When it came to Baba and Zeta, Auntie Hannah did everything to ensure that they were well cared for when their health declined. She embodied the Jewish tradition of kivud av va'em, or honor thy father and thy mother. We would often speak about our mutual adoration for Baba and Zeta to keep their memory alive. We love them so deeply, and I must say that I think we all had great taste. When Auntie Hannah became recently unwell, I flew to Winnipeg to be with her. In part of Auntie Hannah's indomitable fortitude, despite being in great pain on Wednesday, when she was asked how she was feeling, she somehow managed to muster the strength to say, "Better." She wanted to remain a beacon of positivity, even in the hardest of times. She never complained and had such a fighting spirit. There were some lines that Zeta used to say all the time, including "stick and stay and make it pay." At one point, when Auntie Hannah was weaker, I said to her, "Stick and stay," and she finished it off with, "and make it pay." She handled her short illness with courage and determination. We stayed at Auntie Hannah's bedside on Wednesday until we were finally told we had to leave the hospital. I told her I loved her, and she gathered the strength to say, "I love you" back to me. About 2.5 hours later, we got the call that she passed. Knowing this, I think her last words were telling me that she loved me. Auntie Hannah, on behalf of Lawrence, Rafi, and Lee, myself and David, I want you to know that we all cherished you and our relationship with you. We had so much appreciation for your commitment to our family. We treasure the memories of our special bond with you and the love we shared. We will miss your warmth, your intelligence, and unparalleled knowledge of the world, of the news and world events, your sense of humor and wit, but most importantly, your love. With you, we always knew we were enveloped with unconditional love, and you made us feel so special. You will always hold a large place in our hearts, and now that you are gone, there is a huge void. We love you so much, and we will continue to always love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanted to mention that the Levaya, the burial will be at the Shaarei Tzedek Cemetery. And after that, the family is going to be at 19 Mellish. Those who want to come for the Shiva. For now, I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the Kil Malay. El Malay Rachamim, Shechein Miraimim, Hamsei Menucha Nechayno, Al Kanfei Hashchina, Memales Kadesh Mutahirim, Gezer Rakia Mazirim, Es Nishmas Chana Bas Yisrael, Shalcha Leilamo, Avur Shitnu Blindadet Stoka Badas Koras Nishmoso, Beganeten Tehei, Menuchoso, Lochein Bal Harachamim, Yasrev Seis Knaf Leilamim, Vitzrei Vitzerachayim Es Nishmoso, Ad Nehu Nachaloso, Sno B'Shama Mishkova, B'nei Maro Amen. Paul Bears, come forward.
Just to be at the end of the service, folks, I think there's supposed to be a link for the burial for those who are able to attend. I think within the initial invitation, I'll confirm it with my sister and ask her to send to make sure that the link for that as well. Obviously, miss my plans. The family that joined through. I mean, I know, between, we all wish we can be there in person. Hopefully we can, get together soon to celebrate, to commemorate my aunt and celebrate her life. So sure.
No, I don't want to stop you from talking now. I'm going to stop the recording in a minute or two, but we'll be moving next to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And
Is there going to be a Zoom link for that, sure?
the YouTube link should work. This was the first time that they had a funeral again since they've renovated the chapel. So that's why the first link did not work. The YouTube link should work, but I'll ask that you message me and let me know if it's not. We'll do a test in advance. And if it's not working, we'll set up another Zoom. So I'm going to end this Zoom call now.
Thank you.